July, JP Nada to hold meetings with party organisation heads and office bearers. 4th July, Nada may hold meeting with party MPs. Report card of MPs up for discussion. In the face of a possible Mahagathbandhan, the BJP pulling out the stops. Prime Minister launches Mera Booth Sabse Mazboot campaign. The Congress, meanwhile, finally seems to have a poll plan. The party set to replicate Karnataka victory model. Local leadership not Gandhi's focus of campaign. Candidate selection not on loyalty but on internal survey. Rejig in state units to stem lethargy and favoritism. To run a hyper-local election with guaranteed deliverables. Strengthen booth-level reach. Identify chinks in incumbent BJP state government armour and build campaign. All attempts to quell internal factionalism. Bigger role for Priyanka Gandhi. A more ideological role for Rahul Gandhi. State elections in less than 6 months. General elections in less than 1 year. Mission 2024 is truly afoot.
Good evening, you're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Choudhry. Mission 2024 truly afoot. The blueprint been worked on where the Bharatiya Janata Party is concerned. It's always had a very well-oiled election machinery. It's just got in for a bit of servicing. The Congress has an entirely new blueprint. Many would suggest based on the Karnataka blueprint. Will it be workable? What we're going to do in the course of the next 25 minutes is to break down and get you the inside scoop on what these two parties are planning. Let me quickly bring in my colleague Poulomi Saha, who tracks the BJP very closely. Poulomi, what does it look like where the BJP is concerned? A big meeting which happened late last night. What are you picking up from your sources where the BJP's poll plan is in question?
Well, Preeti, this was not the first meeting. This was part of a series of meetings. Of course, it was, there was a lot of spotlight on this meeting because it involved the Prime Minister, but before that there was a series of meetings which lasted many long hours that happened between JP Nada, Amit Shah, B.L. Santosh, and in the last meeting RSS's Arun Kumar also joined in. Basically, this is to give a whole rejig to the organization. This obviously is an exercise that started after the Karnataka election results, where obviously the BJP suffered a jolt at the hands of the Congress party. So they're looking at organizational changes, keeping in mind the assembly elections that are to come up at the end of this year. Also the Odisha election, which is to come up along with the general elections of 2024. So they're looking at many, changes. And then, of course, possible rejig in the cabinet. That is being looked at simply because of the reason that you might want to pull in some people from the Union Council of Ministers into the party and the organization to focus on the party's work ahead of 2024. For instance,
are we going to see a cabinet reshuffle very soon, Poulomi?
It is not exactly as part of, it's not an entirely separate exercise. Like I was saying, for instance, if you move a Dharmendra Pradhan to the ground, saying go focus on the work in Odisha, that doesn't mean that he's been demoted or, it's a jolt for him, etc. He's just been pulled into the organizational work of the party on the ground in Odisha, which goes into assembly posts, and obviously there are general elections as well. Same goes for, there's been a lot of speculation, though the BJP in charge Tarun Chugh for Telangana denies it, that Bandi Sanjay, who's the state president of the BJP, could be removed. G. Kishan Reddy, who is Minister for Culture right now in the Union Council, could be asked to step in as state president of Telangana because Telangana goes into post by the end of the year. But all of that, we're hoping that there'll be
Will there be a lot of changes, Poulomi, when it comes down, especially because state elections are also in order? Will there be adjustments made, for states in like Madhya Pradesh?
Of course. You'll need a lot of people. You'll need new general secretaries. That's what we're hearing, at least 3 new general secretaries, possibly 2 new national secretaries as well, wherein they will be given a little bit more on their plate in terms of these poll-bound states, in terms of the work that will be given to them to be focused more on these assembly elections and subsequently, of course, the general elections.
I just want to pull in Dr. Syed Zafar Islam into the conversation. We are waiting for Supriya Shanath and Rajdeep Sardesai as well. But Dr. Syed Zafar Islam, is the BJP even mildly spooked with what went down in Patna and what possibly could go down? We still don't know, either in Bangalore, Shimla or Jaipur. But having said that, the formidable might of the Mahagathbandhan, if they do unite, has it spooked the BJP into at least looking at a battle of their lifetime going into 24?
Well, you can call it formidable, but we don't see it as formidable. We see it's a fragmented opposition. They are all driving their own interests, and there is no meeting of minds. So even though they are meeting for not for unity but formality, and eventually they will go in different ways, because everyone has certain aspiration, like rightly so, because all the political parties will have certainly, and their leaders will certain responsibility towards their party, and of course they will have some aspiration as well to go up in the ladder and become something or the other. So it is very difficult for everyone to have a meeting of minds and agree on one name. Even they couldn't pick a convener. So there were a lot of difficulties in terms of proposing whose name needs to be proposed. So there were certain names which were proposed was not acceptable to many political parties. So it is difficult, but let's see how it goes. All we can say that we are not overly concerned about
Okay.
what
but
the
okay,
opposition,
but Dr. Islam, okay, let's just talk about what could be your primary opponent, and that seems to be the Congress right now. If the Congress relies on the Karnataka template, now that template really did succeed for the Congress where Karnataka was concerned. Small, things if you look at. The sheer fact that this time they're very clear that ticket distribution only happened on internal surveys and nothing to do with favoritism and other dynamics. All of that put together does stitch a campaign which can be, if not smart, but something to contend with.
See, we exactly know what exactly we need to do on the ground. See, we have lost Karnataka election doesn't mean that we do not have a very well-oiled machine to fight the election. We have very senior people who have the huge experience, like Mr. Amit Shah ji, who is the Home Minister. Number of elections he has fought is unthinkable for other political parties to even match his the kind of success he has demonstrated. Purely because he understands the dynamics, he understands the ground, and he always had not hesitated in taking the firm call. This time also, even though we have lost the election, we understand that we have lost the election, but our vote percentage had not come off in Karnataka. There are certain things which has worked against us. We will definitely, those concerns we will address.
Okay.
But we are not overly concerned about unity, formality, or coming together. We know exactly, we have the confidence of the people of this great country, and there is a lot of admiration and for the Honorable Prime Minister. His
Dr. Islam,
leadership is
one would think that the BJP fights every election like its life depends on it. That has been your mantra and possibly something that's worked for you. I just want to bring in our other guests into this conversation. Rajdeep Sardesai, consulting editor, joins us, as well as Supriya Shrinate from the Congress spokesperson. But Rajdeep, yesterday we were in the studio discussing the Congress's the inside details, poll plan, what could it tantamount to in the days to come. We have the BJP's possible blueprint right now. And if you look at it, it's always been a well-oiled election machinery. It just needs a bit of tweaks here and there, and they're ready to go, it seems.
Look, the BJP is far superior to its political rivals when it comes to resources, when it comes to micromanagement, and when it comes to the leadership that it has at the center. The Congress, on the other hand, is learning over time to borrow in a way from the BJP's playbook. For example, the Congress has also now decided to set up mandal level committees. They've recognized, both parties have recognized, elections are won and lost increasingly at the booth level. Your ability to connect with voters. The BJP's advantage is that the BJP, because it has the resources and because it has this, as you said, a plan that they've already executed in the past, as we've seen in the last month with this Sampark Abhiyan. They've sent members of parliament to 2 constituencies across the country talking to booth level workers. Mera booth sabse mazboot doesn't just have the local leaders, but even every central minister and MP being sent to different constituencies, not just your own, but you've got to go and supervise what's happening in at least 2 other constituencies. Now, that level of outreach is very difficult for a party like the Congress to match. You've got 303 MPs of the BJP on one side, you've got 50 odd MPs of the Congress on the other. So the huge advantage that the BJP has of state power, resources, micromanagement, versus the Congress, which perhaps at the state level has one advantage at the moment over BJP, which is that they can successfully, possibly hyper-localize the campaign. The BJP's eggs are all in the Modi basket. What have they been doing in the last month? Going across the country saying, what have we achieved in the 9 years under the Modi government? Now that might be successful for a Lok Sabha strategy, but how do you tailor it for a Vidhan Sabha strategy when, let's say, governments like the Madhya Pradesh government may be suffering from fatigue and anti-incumbency? That's where the Congress is seeing an opportunity, and you're seeing the Congress now increasingly focusing on localizing and even hyper-localizing its campaign. So it's very interesting. You've got a localized campaign of the Congress, and you've got the TMO, there is Modi only on the other side as far as the BJP is concerned, through the Labhartis and the various beneficiaries of government programs.
Supresh, Renate, the fact is, drawing from what Rajdeep said, for the first time I would reckon when one has covered the Congress campaign, for the first time one did see in Karnataka what could be the equivalent of a Panna Pramukh or a booth level in charge where Congress was concerned. So yes, maybe you're getting it right there. But if you're going to use Karnataka as your template, how does that work in the Hindi heartland where already, Mr. Renate, questions are being raised on the deliverables, on guarantees in Karnataka? Rajdeep in the next 1 hour is going to do a show where it comes down to the rice scheme in Karnataka, which is, facing its own issues in the state.
You've asked me a question that I wish somebody had asked me this evening, and thank you very much for asking me the question on Karnataka. I will first answer that question and then I will make the larger statement that I want to make. We had promised 10 kgs of rice to BPL families. It was called the Anna Bhagya Yojana. The BJP government told FCI not to sell rice to the Karnataka government. It is actually free to sell rice to private players. So we had to go back to the drawing board and we said, okay, you are going to create a hurdle. You are going to not permit us to give rice. We will give equivalent amount of money directly in the hands of people in their bank accounts. Now, the reality is when the BJP does something like this, it's absolutely anti-people, anti-poor. So you are trying to create a hurdle for the Congress government in Karnataka, but you know what? People are not impressed. People realize how crafty and cunning you're being. People realize how anti-people you are in your deft to put Congress in its place. But the reality is this will have electoral implications. No voter in India likes an arrogant political party. And that is true for voters in Karnataka and all across the country. You're going to create hurdles for pro-poor policies. These same people will teach you a lesson. You wait and watch. I hope I have answered that question and I hope I have answered it clearly. आप हमें 10 kg अनाज नहीं देने दीजिएगा, हम उसके बराबर पैसा देंगे, लेकिन लोग देखेंगे. I was hearing Rajdeep and your discussion, and apologies for joining 2-3 minutes late. I want to say something, and it may be the harsh truth and the BJP may not want to hear it. When you talk about this opposition and when you talk about 2024 and coming together and the Modi face and all of that, what Modi face are we talking about? The Prime Minister was decisively defeated in Himachal. He made the election all about himself. The Prime Minister was decisively defeated in Karnataka. The election was all about him, his face. The Prime Minister will be decisively defeated in Madhya Pradesh, in Rajasthan, in Chhattisgarh and in Telangana. He can keep making the election all about himself. So India is actually very bored of the jumlas. The colossal jumlas are not serving the people. The people have seen enough you. And, just to take a cue from what both Zafar and Rajdeep were saying, the Panna Pramukhs, the Mandals, Mera Booth Sabse Mazboot. Nobody, no voter in this country will tolerate that Manipur has been strife with violence, 130 people dead, thousands displaced, crores worth of property demolished and burnt, and the Prime Minister, instead of looking at Manipur and finding a solution and appealing for peace there, is doing an event which says Mera Booth Sabse Mazboot. Nobody will tolerate that. It will not even make you
as I bring in Zafar Islam back into the conversation, I want to, one second. Right. But Ms. Renate, do you at least admit that state election with what we are talking about and what you're talking about is a very different ball game when you go into a general elections where even in the states, ma'am, like Karnataka, that you won emphatically at that, most surveys suggested if this was a Lok Sabha election, it would have been a ticket which would have Modi on its face and possibly a vote on that.
I dispute you and I refute you, and I will tell you why. Because I was a part of the Himachal campaign, I was very involved in the Karnataka campaign. It was all about the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister put his face on the campaign. He called Himachal his second home. He said Karnataka is where the vote should be casted in somebody else's name, in my name and all of that. Look at what happened. People after 2 terms have become bored. They want you to show the report card. You continue to play the victim card after 9 years. Nobody is interested. Nobody is impressed. And that's the reality. And the reality also is when you block pro-poor policies like Annabhagya, the rest of the country sees it and sees you for your true colors.
Dr. Islam,
that's the reality.
Just about yesterday, you'd sung out Sara Zamana, Modi ka Devana, but on the show tonight, you have Supriya Shure who's countering it, saying there's a fatigue which is set in, where having Prime Minister on the ticket, be it state elections or going into 24, is concerned.
Well, time and again, she is referring to 2 election outcomes, the Karnataka and the Himachal Pradesh. She doesn't talk about the Gujarat election outcome, where they were disseminated. And even those 2 states, the BJP has not lost the vote percentage. In fact, on the contrary, it has gone up a little bit, but it has not lost the vote percentage. Having said that, she also is making a statement that the outcome of the upcoming election, where I think she is going wrong because all the overconfidence she is trying to demonstrate here will actually backfire on them. Either Madhya Pradesh, whether it's Chhattisgarh, whether it's Telangana, whether it's any other state, all these states, Congress will have no leg to stand, and eventually you'll see that the campaign we will start. Today they are whatever they are talking, but they want to give a bad name to make a false allegation against our government, give a bad name and abuse the honorable Prime Minister, or nothing will work. You will see the outcome. We will win Madhya Pradesh. We are absolutely confident of winning Rajasthan. We are absolutely confident of winning Chhattisgarh. And we will make an impressive performance in Telangana as well.
Okay, Rajdeep, I just want to bring in Rajdeep and follow me back into the conversation because, Rajdeep, do you see at least the Congress having a concerted roadmap in terms of every week now you see a meeting happening where, there's one state that they're focusing on. There seems to be a game plan for each state, diametrically different yet similar. With what happened late last night, you had Deputy CM being appointed, less than 3 months before Telangana goes into active election mode, less than 6 months before it goes into election.
It does appear so. You see, when you win an election, it gives you a certain momentum. It gives you possibly a formula, a playbook that you can try and implement in other states. And that's what they're attempting. And I think the key to it is, again, the fact that with Mallikarjun Kharge now as Congress president, the attempt to give the local leaders greater autonomy and empowerment. You see, always looking over your shoulder to what the Gandhis want, what they will do, has been the Congress's traditional way of operating. And therefore, many of their decisions have often been taken at the last minute, always taken in Delhi. The sense one gets is whether it's a Gehlot, whether it's a Kamal Nath, whether it's a Baghel, whether it's even to some extent a Revant Reddy, number of the decisions that were only solely being taken in Delhi are now being taken through a organized, systematic, consultative manner, even with the state leaders. And I think that's the big difference when you empower. And that's the big difference at the moment between the Congress and the BJP. The BJP at the moment is doing exactly what the Congress used to do 30, 40 years ago. Always looking over their shoulder. What will Narendra Modi ji want? What will Amit Shah ji want? It's very much Delhi-centric. Modi, Shah, Nadda, Santosh, this quadrangle that decides the BJP decisions. Kharge does not have that same political heft, you could argue, which is why Kamal Nath perhaps could almost, have his own way of functioning in Madhya Pradesh. It may actually work to some extent at the state level. And I make that distinction again between state and Lok Sabha to the Congress's advantage in states, not necessarily in a Lok Sabha election.
And that's where, Paulomi, I want to bring you in because what's interesting is this late meeting spearheaded by Modi. You have Mr. Shah there, of course, BL Santosh and the likes of JP Nadda. But having said that, it's what the Congress did earlier, where the High Command would take all the decisions and which would percolate to the states. And right now, the Congress has gone back into trying to create and invest into local leadership, but, completely opposite of what the BJP is doing.
You might say that yes, it is the top brass of the Bharatiya Janata Party which takes the final decision. But yes, there has been a process where they are, of course, seeking the suggestions, and the consultation is ongoing as well, as they, of course, speak to their state leaders, state presidents, people on the ground as well. For instance, even very recently, and in the case of Telangana, for instance, where they, like I was citing earlier, there has been some amount of internal resistance to Bandi Sanjay continuing on as the chief of the party. There have been those who've been turncoats who've come from the BRS, for instance, MLA Itala Rajinder. He was here in Delhi over the weekend, and he was given an audience by JP Nada and Amit Shah. Now, he is someone who is seen as a rival as far as Bandi Sanjay is concerned. There was another Committee Reddy as well, who came in, former MLA as well. He came in, given an audience by JP Nada and Amit Shah. And after that, of course, Bandi Sanjay was called in. He came in on Tuesday, and then these reports were discussed with him. And then, of course, the speculation continues. Tarun Chugh, like I said, dismissing the possibility of Bandi Sanjay being removed so late in the day when Telangana is just around the corner. But again, speculation still rife that he could be replaced.
Well, speculations there, but Dr. Syed Zafar Islam, taking off from what we were discussing with Rajdeep and Polumi. It's interesting because the Congress used to do what you do, and the Congress has gone back to invest in regional leadership. Let's go ahead. You're looking at 3 big elections in the Hindi heartland. You have the likes of Kamal Nath, very clearly the front runner in Madhya Pradesh, where your political party still doesn't know whether it wants to go, behind Mr. Chauhan. On the other hand, Chhattisgarh, very clear leadership. Congress, very clear that they want to possibly settle Rajasthan as well. Will you actually win an election with Modi on the ticket in these states where you have strong central leadership from the Congress?
Well, Rajdeep has made certain statement that may not be true. It is just that he is speculating something which is factually incorrect. We give lot of importance. Lot means lot of importance to our ground level worker. Starting with Parna Pramukh at booth level, and their feedback is more important than feedback which is coming from the party leadership, local leadership. So it is very unfair to make that kind of statement that we only focus on the senior leadership and do not give it more attention to the state leadership, or for that matter, the local level leadership.
Tell us, for example, what is the status of Vasundhara Raje at the moment? I mean, I'm just asking you this out of curiosity in a way, because the fact is this has been a matter lingering for months. What is the status of Vasundhara Raje's leadership?
Rajdeep, if you pick one name, because it suits your narrative, I mean, I'm not going to respond to that, but let me tell you that she is a Karyakarta, and every Bharatiya Janata Party worker is a Karyakarta. They work, they will abide by the decision being made by.
Okay, Supresh Reddy wanted to come in, but let's cut across to the news break that we're just getting, and this is huge. The Tamil Nadu Governor R.N. Ravi has dismissed Senthil Balaji from the state cabinet. That's a big news break that is coming in right now. A governor dismissing Senthil from the state cabinet. We're going to cut across, get in the latest reactions coming in, but this is huge. What we are given to understand, the news that we are breaking right now, Mr. V. Senthil Balaji facing serious criminal proceedings in a number of cases of corruption. And this is a statement I'm reading out from the governor's office, it seems. Can a governor actually dismiss a cabinet minister? Many questions will be raised. I want to quickly bring in Rajdeep Sardesai into this conversation. Is bizarre what the news that we are breaking. Can a governor, Rajdeep, actually dismiss a cabinet minister no matter what the charges against him are?
Paulomi and I were trying to find out whether there's any precedence of a governor dismissing a minister without even informing the chief minister, or without the chief. It has to be done by the chief minister. Yeah. You see, the chief minister at the end of the day is the head of the council of ministers. That's like saying tomorrow the president of India dismisses a cabinet minister without Mr. Modi having any knowledge of it. We have been given an example. My colleague Sahil Joshi tells me, for example, Nawab Malik, the NCP minister in Maharashtra, was arrested by the EDA. The MVA kept him as the minister without portfolio. Mr. Koshyari couldn't one day just ring up, or even without informing, just sending out a press release saying, I'm dismissing Nawab Malik. The chief minister is the head of the government. The governor's role can only come through a process of consultation on the recommendation of the chief minister, the council of ministers. So,
for a minute I thought I was reading something wrong, because when we are breaking this news right now, bizarre, but we're going to try and get a larger understanding of what really has gone down. Pramod Madhav joins me right now with the latest bit of news as it's filtering in. Pramod, can you take us through the latest news break, please? Because this is bizarre. How can a sitting governor actually sack a minister?
Well, it absolutely is, and not just now. Earlier also, when Senthil Balaji was admitted to the hospital, the Chief Minister recommended that his portfolios must be given to two ministers. One was Tangam Tennarase and the other one was Muthuswamy. But at that point also, the governor stated that misleading information was provided. But without waiting for the governor's approval, the Chief Minister went ahead and he issued that the portfolios has been transferred to the two ministers. Then the governor also stated that the portfolios has been transferred. And now the governor has come forward and said that Senthil Balaji has been dismissed from the council. We are trying to find out if the government portfolio still carries Senthil Balaji as a council of minister or not. We are waiting for a reply from the DMK on this.
Well, this is going to be explosive because clearly the DMK is not going to be taking it sitting down. But let's try and get in more reactions coming in. We have Mr. Satyam from the AIDMK. Initial reactions are what seems to be right now a little bizarre. A governor dismissing a sitting cabinet minister, no matter what the corruption charges have been against him. There's been precedent. But having said that, first reaction, sir.
I think governor is forced to act in this way because the initial letter to M.K. Stalin, the chief minister, was he cannot continue as a minister because of moral turpitude, stating that he has got a history of misusing his power as a minister. He cannot continue. But having Mr. M.K. Stalin failed to act, I think governor has stepped into his shoes and taken this call. However, this will be fought in the judiciary moving forward. This shows how going loggerheads with the governor affects the state. DMK is setting a bad example.
All right, appreciate you joining us. I just want to go into a quick break, but viewers, M.K. Stalin has tweeted out just a short while ago, and he says it is our collective responsibility. All right, he's tweeted about Manipur there, but we're going to try and get in more coming in on that. This is big news that is breaking. Sitting governor sacking a cabinet minister. Well, that's exactly what's happened in the state of Tamil Nadu. Going into a quick break. On the other side, Rahul Kaval takes over.
Addiction to mobile phones, gaming, all be at different degrees, it is a problem plaguing almost every family nowadays. Kids who simply won't get off the phones, much to the dismay of their parents. Pankaj Gupta is one of them. His 8-year-old son and 4-year-old nephew both have battled addiction.
जब से ये कोरोना काल चला है, ऑनलाइन क्लासेस का प्रोग्राम जब से चला है, उसकी वजह से बच्चों को मोबाइल एडिक्शन लगा है। उसके बाद भी स्कूल वालों ने जैसे ऑनलाइन प्रोसेस रखा है अपना चालू, तो बच्चों को मोस्टली वर्कआउट जो है मोबाइल के कारण मिलता है, उसी कारण इनको मोबाइल एडिक्शन पड़ा है।
The addiction is to the level of the 4-year-old being able to unlock the phone and download games.
छोटे वाला है जो वो सोने के बाद मोस्टली लगता है, तो वो भी कई बार जैसे माँ बाप की आँख खुलती है, पता चलता है कि हाँ मोबाइल में लगा हुआ है। हमें कुछ भी नहीं करना पड़ता, बच्चे अपने आप ही सब कुछ कर लेते हैं। अच्छा। मोबाइल पे गेम्स डाउनलोड कर लेना, उसको चलाना, सब सीख जाते हैं अपने आप ही करते करते।
Experts say here are the signs to watch out to gauge if the child is addicted. The telltale signs are thinking about gaming all the time, losing interest in other activities, unable to quit playing or reduce screen time, using gaming to ease bad moods. It is no secret that mobile phones and gaming addiction is depriving kids of their childhood. The addiction, however, is hard to get rid of, but not impossible.
Self-guard young people on the interface that they have. I think that all of us have a role to play. Rather than just saying and telling a young person, don't use the phone, don't be online, don't play a game. I don't think that's the option here. The option should be effective usage of time and mindful about the content that you are absorbing and ensuring there is enough skill set that you have, that you don't get the negative impact of what you're observing.
As of now, it looks like each and every lower middle class or middle class household in the country has one or multiple such devices. Kids growing up with such technology are getting addicted to it. Living in virtual reality is actually hampering their mental and physical growth, and this is a major cause of concern. With Sneha Mordani and Nasir Khan, this is Abhishek Anand reporting for India Today.
Introducing Apple Vision Pro.
Apple unveiled its hotly anticipated augmented reality headset on Monday, its riskiest and biggest bet since the iPhone debuted more than a decade ago. The Vision Pro poses a direct challenge to Meta's line of mixed and virtual reality devices. And with a price tag that will start at $3,499, the Vision Pro will cost more than 3 times Meta's priciest headset when it launches next year. Apple CEO Tim Cook.
It's the first Apple product you looked through and not at. Vision Pro feels familiar, yet it's entirely new. You can see, hear, and interact with digital content just like it's in your physical space.
Apple said that users of the Vision Pro will be able to select content inside the goggles with their eyes, tap their fingers together to click, and gently flick to scroll, while also using a 3-dimensional camera and microphone system to capture videos and pictures that can be viewed in 3D later. In its most striking difference from Meta's headsets, the device also has an exterior display that shows the user's eyes to people in the outside world.
So in the same way that Mac introduced us to personal computing and iPhone introduced us to mobile computing, Apple Vision Pro will introduce us to spatial computing.
The exterior screen goes dark when a user is fully immersed in a virtual world. When a person approaches a user who is in a full virtual mode, the headset will show both the user and the outside person to each other.
Presented by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, Growing Legacies.
Co-presented by Century Ply Club Prime, Raho Befikar.
Co-presented by Macho Hand, Bade Aaram Se.
Powered by NECC, Sunday Hoya Monday, Rose Khaw Monday.
Good evening and welcome. You're watching the news track. I'm Rahul Kamal. In an unprecedented action, the governor of Tamil Nadu, R.N. Ravi, has sacked DMK minister Senthil Balaji because of corruption and because he was influencing the case against him. Can a governor who's unelected sack a minister who's been chosen by the chief minister? This is a massive political story. It's breaking late this evening, and that's my top focus on the news track. Across to leading constitutional expert PDT Achari. He joins us, former Secretary General of the Lok Sabha. Mr. Achari, welcome. This is a massive political development. The governor of Tamil Nadu using unprecedented powers that others probably did not know about, to sack a minister in the Tamil Nadu government. Is this legal? Is this acceptable? Can this happen, sir?
No, it cannot happen, because the governor cannot act independently on any of these matters. The governor can remove a minister from the Council of Ministers only on the advice of the Chief Minister, because the minister is appointed only on the advice of the Chief Minister, and the governor cannot appoint a minister on his own. Therefore, while removing a minister, the governor needs to be advised by the Chief Minister, and only on the recommendation of the Chief Minister, the governor removes a minister. Otherwise not. The governor is not authorized or permitted by the Constitution to act in this manner.
Rajdeep Sardesai is joining me. Rajdeep, here is India's top constitutional authority, expert on parliamentary law, saying this is not possible, it can't be done. And yet Governor R.N. Ravi, who's had multiple showdowns with the DMK government of Stalin, seems to have decided he has the power to sack the minister.
You know, it's unprecedented. When I first read about it and I first got the breaking news, Rahul, a few minutes ago, I tried to think did it ever happen before? It hasn't. Now, you could argue there's always a first time, but the fact, Rahul, is the law is very clear. The Article 164(1) and the other clauses with regard to the role and responsibilities of the governor are very clear. And the Supreme Court in several cases has reiterated it, that the governor acts on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers headed by the Chief Minister.
Some kind of legal advice. No governor can go fire in this fashion by himself. He would have spoken to legal experts, thought these through, because if this gets struck down by the court, the governor of Tamil Nadu will be the laughing stock.
Two very quick points, Rahul. One, imagine a scenario tomorrow where the President of India dismisses a member in the Narendra Modi cabinet without informing the Prime Minister. Could you ever imagine that scenario?
It can't happen.
But B, what the governor will probably say is, because in this particular case, the minister is accused of serious corruption and he has reason to believe that the minister in his present portfolio is obstructing the course of justice, and because the Chief Minister is not acting on it, he has chosen to act without consulting the Chief Minister. It creates a possible constitutional crisis, definitely, but that's the argument that the governor will make, that continuance of Senthil Balaji in the government of Tamil Nadu.
But he doesn't have the power to do so.
He doesn't.
He doesn't have the power to do so. I can't decide that I want to do something just because I want to if I'm not allowed to do so. He's in a constitutional post.
You see, I don't think he has, but remember, ministers shall hold office during the pleasure of the governor. He will try and interpret it to suggest that continuance of Senthil Balaji was in effect itself prima facie an illegal act, and therefore in his judgment he had chosen to do so. Where he is getting these powers under the constitution is not clear. Who he has consulted before taking this decision is not clear. Clearly, on the balance of precedence, the Tamil Nadu government has a very strong case to suggest that the governor has directly intervened and crossed a certain Lakshman Rekha which Raj Bhavan is supposed to maintain, and therefore I think the governor will have a lot of explaining to do as to what is the basis on which he has taken this decision. He will obviously try and suggest because the charges are of serious corruption, therefore he has acted.
I want to go across to Pramod Mathav, Bureau Chief in Tamil Nadu. Pramod, what are the charges against Senthil Balaji? Where is he at this moment? What is the governor's office telling you? Why have they taken this decision, which is completely unprecedented and quite shocking, frankly?
Now, 3 days ago, he underwent coronary bypass surgery, and he has to be under treatment, and he is in Kaveri Hospital for the next 20 days. That is what the recent update we got from the Kaveri Hospital. There were 4 blocks in his heart, and it was actually cleared. That's what the doctor has also said. But currently now the governor is coming forward and saying that there are various cases. The ED has also approached the Madras High Court, where there is a case that is happening, where the enforcement director has also earlier said that Senthil Balaji did not cooperate, and that's the reason they had to go and arrest. But Senthil Balaji's wife is also contesting over there through an habeas corpus petition that the arrest itself was illegal. Amidst this, the governor claims that Senthil Balaji is trying to actually intervene with the investigation, and that's the reason so much several cases, including cash for votes, cash for money case, and other cases are pending on his name. And that's the reason the governor says that he has been dismissed from the Council of Ministers. But we checked with the Council of Ministers website, and his name is clearly present over there without any portfolios. And I've been told just now that the Chief Minister has also reacted to this matter. The Chief Minister has said that the governor has no powers and DMK will face this legally.
Okay, I want to go across to Anisha Mathur. She's our legal correspondent. Is there anything under any law which allows a governor to sack a minister? Is there any precedent for this, Anisha Mathur?
Well, Rahul, this is something, in fact, that the precedent goes against. Because if you remember the 1994 SR Bormai case, we had clearly said that the governor cannot dismiss an elected government. In fact, just last year when we saw a similar dispute coming in Kerala, when the then governor Arif Muhammad Khan had said that he has withdrawn the pleasure of appointment of then Finance Minister Ken Balagopal. Then also this issue had come up that can the governor dismiss a minister. Now what Article 164 of the Constitution says is that the chief minister is appointed by the governor, but the ministers are appointed on the aid and advice of the chief minister. So clearly, so far, the legal precedents that have come up so far say that the chief minister has to recommend the removal of a minister by the governor. Of course, the action is taken in the name of the governor. Today, we've seen this kind of statement coming from the Raj Bhavan in Tamil Nadu, and we've also, as Madhav just said, that the Tamil Nadu government has already said that they will be contesting this, because just 2 days ago in the Madras High Court, when this matter of Senthil Balaji had come up, the High Court had also questioned, can the governor actually does the governor under any provision have the power to remove a minister without the chief minister making that recommendation first? Clearly, the legal precedents are against the governor. Today, if that kind of a step has been taken, it is something that is going to go before the courts, and the courts so far at least.
P. Wilson is a member of parliament to the DMK. I'm hearing from the Chief Minister's office, I've just received a message that the DMK will challenge this legally. Mr. Wilson, can you give us details about how soon you'll be mounting a legal challenge and your party's first reaction to the governor's unprecedented action of firing a minister who's facing serious charges of corruption?
First of all, our Honorable Chief Minister has just now said that the governor doesn't have powers to dismiss a minister without the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers, and particularly the recommendation of the Chief Minister. And he has also said that the issue will be legally dealt with. But first of all, you have to see, where does the governor derive his power to say like this? Where does he derive the power to issue such press release saying that I am dismissing a minister? Tomorrow, take a case where he will say I am dismissing all the ministers in the Tamil Nadu government. How can he say that? First of all, he has to act in accordance with the constitution. So, such type of suppose you would have passed such orders or written such letters, it is void ab initio, which means a person acting without any power, it need not be even respected. It will find a place where it has to go. So therefore, this will be a scrap of paper without having no effect at all. In law, a person who is acting without any jurisdiction, it need not be respected at all. So therefore, this...
No, but what they'll try and refer to is Article 164(1) of the Constitution of India 1949, which says the Chief Minister shall be appointed by the Governor, another Minister shall be appointed by the Governor on the advice of the Chief Minister, and the Minister shall hold office during the pleasure of the Governor. So while this has not happened, and there's always a first time for things to happen, Ravi can say that I'm using the provision that Minister shall hold office during the pleasure of the Governor.
What do you mean by pleasure?
That's the Constitution, so I'm just quoting from the Constitution.
The pleasure has been clearly explained by the Supreme Court. It is under the aid and advice of Council of Ministers or under the instructions of the Chief Minister, so far as appointment of ministers are concerned. So pleasure means, it doesn't mean as per his whims and fancies. It can't be exercised according to his own understanding. So this is a constitution, and his functions is traceable under the constitution. So therefore, this the letter or a press release is of no use at all. It can be a scrap of paper. It need not be even acted upon. So rightly, the Chief Minister...
On the other side, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Stalin should have himself asked Senthil Balaji to step down instead of just taking his portfolios away. Given the fact that there were serious charges against him, that would have been the just, proper and moral thing for you to do. You didn't do that.
That is a different issue. You are asking me this pertinent question. I am answering to that. Thank you.
No, but do you think that Senthil Balaji should have stepped down? Should his power? But that's the point. You see, the DMK MP, till it was about attacking the governor, he's happy to attack the governor, and then he cuts the phone, because the fact is Senthil Balaji was accused by Stalin of grievous corruption when Stalin was in the opposition and Senthil Balaji was in the AIA-DMK. So this is a man who's had a long history of cases against him. Now that he's in the DMK, like any political party, sees nothing wrong with it. and now they're defending Senthil Balaji, a man they once attacked. But this is quite unprecedented. Make no mistake about it. I want to go across to Sarvanan from the DMK. He's joining us on this broadcast. Mr. Sarvanan, when do you intend to challenge this in the court? Where will this challenge be placed? The governor, referring to 164(1) of the Constitution, which says that a minister serves at the pleasure of the governor. Ravi can turn around and say that Senthil Balaji no longer has my pleasure.
So, will the BJP keep quiet? Will the Prime Minister keep quiet? Tomorrow, if the President writes that I am dismissing the Home Minister because the situation in Manipur has not been brought under control, what will be the reaction of the BJP? Of course, the President is in a higher position, is in a better position, because she has been elected indirectly by the people of this country, whereas Governor is just a nominee. Does the Governor have the power? The Governor does not have the power. The BJP and the RSS cabal is trying to intimidate the DMK government in the state of Tamil Nadu. The Governor is acting in a clownish way. He is undermining the Constitution. The Governor preaches so much about Sanatana Dharma. He has to understand that we are not enforcing the laws of Sanatana here. From 1950, the Constitution is our Bible, the Constitution is our Gita, the Constitution is our Quran. Under which provision? The Governor is a mere rubber stamp. He is a puppet. He is an S-man under the Council of Ministers. He cannot do anything without the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers.
Okay.
If the government does not know this, or he is deliberately violating this, then he is committing an illegal act. He is acting against the Constitution. So what has this prompted? If we have the same analogy across the country, the BJP has not even dismissed Brij Bhushan Singh from the Wrestlers Federation. He did not even suspend him from the Wrestlers Federation, which is a lesser post. It is a heinous crime. India's golden girls were sexually harassed by Brij Bhushan Singh of the BJP.
Okay, I want to go across to Priyanka Chaturvedi, Member of Parliament from the Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray Sena. We requested Priyanka to join us because the original plan was to debate the Uniform Civil Code. My apologies for having changed the topic at the last minute, but this is a big story. And the fact is, the governor has dismissed a minister saying he no longer has my privilege. How do you respond to this? Do you think this comes under the purview of what the opposition has been saying, that members in constitutional posts are overreaching their power?
Oh, absolutely. The governors have been shaming the constitution ever since 2014, and this government has come to power, where their party representatives are sent as governors in various states. We have also been at the receiving end of a governor who the Supreme Court said the floor test that he mandated was unconstitutional and illegal. His dismissal of the government was unconstitutional and illegal. So it just goes on to show, whether we are looking at Kerala, whether we are looking at the Tamil Nadu's unprecedented order that's come from the governor, which will definitely be challenged in the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court will be dismissing it, is the unconstitutional reign of the governors who are appointees, and they overlook what the chief minister, who's elected representative of the particular state, what his opinion is, and that is extremely shameful. And I think every single whether people in the opposition or those in the government should really relook as to how the powers are being misused by the governors.
No, but maybe, Sarvanan, it can be argued that Mr. Stalin, the chief minister, should have taken this action himself. If he had asked Senthil Balaji to step down, that would have been the just, moral and right thing to do. You didn't do that, creating a space for the governor to go in and take this action.
Yes, yeah, Rahul. The law is very, very clear on that. We will come to the morality part little later. The law is very clear. The Supreme Court has settled this law in B.R. Kapoor versus Union State of Tamil Nadu, which is Jayalalitha. It has clearly stated that if you are qualified to hold the post of the MLA, then you are qualified to hold the post of the minister. If you are disqualified to become an MLA, then you cannot hold the post of the minister. Here, Mr. Senthil Balaji does not lose his qualification to hold the post of the MLA. So he has every right, every legal right, constitutional right to continue as a minister. It is the prerogative of the chief minister who should be in his cabinet. If he is qualified, he should be there in the cabinet.
No, so Priyanka Chaturvedi, there are two courts here.
Let me
okay.
Now let me come to the morality part.
Yes.
Just a moment.
Yes.
Does BJP have the moral right? Can they preach about morality? Can they talk about all these things? How many ministers in the BJP cabinet are charged with heinous offences? The union ministers I'm talking about. How many did the BJP dismiss? We are seeing ministers going on and on about glorifying several killers. We have a terrorist as an MP. This is the morality of the BJP. So please don't preach morality. And Mr. Sendil Balaji has been targeted only because he is in the DMK. How many ministers the BJP from the BJP cabinet has been arrested? In Karnataka, 8 crores was seized. 8 o'clock in the evening, the guy grants an anticipatory bail. Sandha Kochar, 2,500 crore scam. Was the ED behind her? 12 days, she's out on bail. Lakshmi Subramaniam from the NSE. What a big scam. Was the ED behind them? No. So why is Mr. Sendil Balaji targeted? Due to politics. So nobody let the
No,
BJP
but Stalin also had attacked Senthil Balaji when Balaji was in the AIADMK. Priyanka Chaturvedi, do you think the Chief Minister's inaction in sacking the minister when he faced arrest and such serious charges creates a moral space for the governor to act? Legal space will be defined in a court, but in the court of public opinion, the DMK was shielding a minister who had serious charges of corruption, a man against whom Mr. Stalin himself had spoken when Senthil Balaji was in the AIADMK. Priyanka Chaturvedi.
No, again, I actually quite agree with what the DMK spokesperson was saying, that this is a question of morality, public opinion versus the rule of law. And the rule of law is pretty clear that the governor cannot, an appointed person sent by the centre cannot be taking a call of the government. And an elected representative, which is the chief minister, who's a popular chief minister of the state. We can discuss public opinion, corruption charges, etc., with a lot many cases. For example, Ajay Mishra Teni, who's a minister of state for home, who continues to enjoy his position despite being part of, we saw how the farmers were crushed under his son's car. So there are various such incidents that we can mention. So even if he moved from AIADMK and those charges were being made, but that's how the political system works in the country. And right now we are also seeing, let's say, Narayan Rane, the Minister of State with an independent charge. He had so many ED cases against him. As soon as he joins the BJP, he gets an all-clear chit. So all this is secondary. The first and the major question should be, should the governor be overstepping beyond his brief and acting like a political stooge of the centre rather than actually holding the constitutional morality that the chair gives to him?
Okay,
And
I want to come back now to that Uniform Civil Code debate, which was originally meant to be our top focus. We stepped aside for that breaking news, but I want to come back to the politics over the Prime Minister pitching for a Uniform Civil Code, because now the opposition is divided. The Aam Aadmi Party has pledged in principle support to the UCC. The Shiromani Akali Dal, a one-time ally of the BJP, is opposing it. Priyanka Chaturvedi's party in principle wants a UCC, but they don't trust what the Modi government is doing. The Congress is playing wait and watch, and the question is whether this will become a big issue building up to the next year's general elections, where you've got majority sentiment on the one side against a lot of the minorities, and not just the Muslims, but the Sikhs, the Christians, the other Parsis, the other minorities on the other side. But even amongst the Hindus, there is, for example, the Hindu undivided family, which benefits from the existence of separate laws in the absence of a UCC. So politics peaking around the UCC. Take a look at this report.
आजकल हम देख रहे हैं कि यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड के नाम पर ऐसे लोगों को भड़काने का काम हो रहा है। आप मुझे बताइए, एक घर में परिवार के एक सदस्य के लिए एक कानून हो, परिवार के दूसरे सदस्य के लिए दूसरा कानून हो, तो क्या वो घर चल पाएगा क्या?
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's push for a uniform civil code has left the opposition divided and confused, with most parties unable to take a clear stand on an issue that could become the BJP's calling card in the 2024 elections. The Congress and its allies like the DMK and National Conference are opposing the government's move.
ये मुल्क डाइवर्स है, इसमें हर किस्म के लोग रहते हैं, हर मजहब रहता है, हर जबान के लोग रहते हैं। हर सोच के लोग रहते हैं और मुसलमानों का अपना शरीयत लॉ है, उसकी तरफ भी इनको नजर रखनी चाहिए। इस पे बार-बार सोचें कि कहीं कोई तूफान ना आए।
ஆக மத பிரச்சனையை அதிகமாக்கி நாட்டிலே குழப்பத்தை ஏற்படுத்தி வெற்றி பெற்று விடலாம் என்று அவர் கருதி கொண்டிருக்கிறார். நிச்சயமாக உறுதியாக வர இருக்கக்கூடிய நாடாளுமன்ற தேர்தலில் பாரதிய ஜனதா கட்சிக்கு சரியான பாடத்தை மக்கள் வழங்குவதற்கு தயாராகிவிட்டார்கள்.
In Maharashtra, former BJP ally and current Congress partner Shiv Sena UBT backs a uniform code, but wonders if it will end up hurting Hindus. Another UPA constituent, NCP, has cautioned against any hurry in framing the UCC.
Sikh Samaj, Christian Samaj, Jain Samaj या तत्संबंधी भूमिका याच्यात काय आहे ते स्पष्ट होण्याची आवश्यकता आहे.
The Akali Dal, once a partner of the BJP, is opposed to a uniform code.
श्रोमणी अकाली दल इस पक्ष में नहीं है कि इसको लागू किया जाए. इससे माइनॉरिटीज उनके सिविल राइट्स इफेक्ट होंगे. जो देश में ट्राइब्स हैं, कबीले हैं बहुत से नॉर्थ ईस्ट में और स्टेट्स में, वो इफेक्ट होंगे और इसमें एक तनाव का माहौल जो है वो देश में दोबारा बनेगा.
The Aam Aadmi Party is in agreement with the BJP on the need for a UCC, but wants consultations and consensus building.
देखिए, सैद्धांतिक रूप से हम यूसीसी का समर्थन करते हैं. आर्टिकल 44, आर्टिकल 44 वो भी ये कहती है कि यूसीसी होनी चाहिए.
Many political parties and groups representing the Muslim community have come out in the open to question the government's motive behind the proposal for UCC.
भारत के प्रधानमंत्री भारत की डाइवर्सिटी को, प्लुरलिज्म को एक प्रॉब्लम समझते. यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड की जब बात प्रधानमंत्री कर रहे हैं, वो यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड की नहीं बात कर रहे, वो हिंदू सिविल कोड की बात कर रहे.
The BJP has hit back at the opposition, holding them guilty of giving a communal color to the whole issue.
140 करोड़ जनता में एक समान है, और अगर एक समान है तो एक नीति होनी चाहिए सभी, और ये तो संकल्प भारतीय जनता पार्टी की रही है और ये संकल्प संविधान में भी है.
Bureau Report, India Today.
You know, most people watching this broadcast would be of the view that it makes sense to have one law in one nation. That just in principle seems like the right thing to do, which is why it's also a part of the directive principles of our constitution, but it's never been implemented because of the various differences amongst different regions when it comes to laws on marriage, succession, birth, divorce, and various aspects of personal life. Is this the right moment? Is this an attempt by the BJP to try and whip up sentiment around this issue, given that this is one of their major ideological planks ahead of the 2024 elections? And will it become a major rallying factor before the next polls, because the opposition is clearly split? I want to go across to GVL Narasimha Rao, spokesperson of the BJP. He's with us on this broadcast. You saw Priyanka Chaturvedi a little while earlier, member of Parliament of the Rajya Sabha, Deputy Leader of the Uddhav Shiv Sena. Reena Gupta from the Aam Aadmi Party. Varis Pathan has taken out time on Bakar to join us. I appreciate that. And Sarvanan Annadurai from the DMK is still with us. So I want to go across to GVL Narasimha Rao first. I have here the 21st Law Commission report. Came out in 2018 on the 31st of August, which says a uniform civil code is neither necessary nor desirable at this stage. It's a 185-page consultation paper which makes the point that a unified nation did not necessarily need to have uniformity of law. Given that this was the Law Commission's position under your government's watch in 2018, why then has this issue been brought up 1 year before the elections? Is this, now that the Ram temple has been built, Article 370 is gone, is this the third plank you will try and whip up as you seek a third term for Prime Minister Modi? GVL Narasimha Rao.
Rahul, good evening to you, all the panelists and all the viewers. There is nothing hidden about this. This has been a part of our political agenda for gender justice ever since the BJP was formed. And even in 2019 manifesto, we have clearly and categorically stated that we will work towards bringing uniform civil code. This was a part of our manifesto in 2019. So what we are beginning to do, what we are setting out to do is exactly what we have spoken about all these years. There is nothing keeping in mind 2024. And why is it for certain communities uniform civil code or common personal laws are okay when they live abroad? When you live in the US, I don't see Waris Pathan or Owaisi or any of their relatives talking about Sharia law. But when it comes to India, it becomes obligatory. And in the same logic, they were trying to force continuation of triple talaq. When countries like even Egypt, Bangladesh, then Pakistan, many of them have banned it decades ago, but they wanted even to persist that that injustice to Muslim women in India in the name of a vote bank. So
okay, let me get a word in from Waris Pathan, because in Bangladesh, in Pakistan, Malaysia, Turkey, these are Islamic countries, Indonesia, Sudan, Egypt, and in countries like America and in Ireland, the Uniform Civil Code is implemented and all citizens of those countries, including Muslims, follow the same law. So if Turkey, Bangladesh, Malaysia, Pakistan, Egypt, Indonesia and Sudan don't have a problem, why should Waris Pathan have a problem?
Well, Rahul, first and foremost, Eid Mubarak and Happy Ekadashi to you, my co-panelists, your viewers and everybody. Now, coming back to the topic on the UCC, there is no need for the UCC as said by the Law Commission in 2018 itself. See, we have got independence in 1947. Since 70 years, we have been following the constitution given to us by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. Constitution, there is an unfettered fundamental right enshrined under Article 29, 14, 25, 26. What will we do? Article 29 of the Constitution speaks about plurality and diversity, which are the basic structures of our Constitution. Will they remove that? In Nagaland, special status is given to the people there. BJP is sharing in alliance since last 2003 in Nagaland with the NPF.
No, but let me ask you a very simple question, which is one of the key factors in the demand for UCC. Take polygamy. Why should men from a certain community be allowed to marry multiple times? Surely you don't think that that is acceptable. Why shouldn't there be gender justice?
Multiple wives?
Why should anyone be allowed to marry 1, 2, 3, 4, more than one wife?
Canards. No, Rahul, these are lies and canards spread by the BJP against the Muslim men. I challenge GVL. Give me 10 names of Muslim men who have married 4 times.
So, but it's allowed. It's a question of principle.
You don't have.
It's a question of principle, sir.
But why should it be allowed?
Principle.
Why should it be allowed?
Rahul, as principle, let me go a step further. There are my Hindu friends. I know many of our non-Muslim people. There are 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't want to name them. I don't want to say anything about them. There are. One of the film stars got married.
But then Hindu law prohibits it.
Himself and got married.
But they have to follow the law of the land.
Hindu law.
No, because triple talaq was done away with. It didn't make much of a difference. There were concerns that there'd be a backlash from society. Priyanka Chaturvedi, you're a woman yourself and a woman's right activist. Why should men from any community be allowed to marry multiple times? The Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray Sena is in a particularly tricky spot, because if you were with the BJP at this time, you'd be applauding the Modi government's decision to push for the UCC. This is what you actually want.
So, firstly, we are in no tricky situation, and Shiv Sena has never shied away from sharing its opinion, whether it goes along with the opposition, goes along with its alliance, or it goes against its alliance. We've always spoken our mind. And as far as in principle Uniform Civil Code is concerned, we are very clear. If it ensures equality and justice irrespective of gender or religion, then we are all for it. We are all for ensuring that every, streamlining of the laws as far as we are concerned. There are multiple laws that are being, misused, misinterpreted, and even the courts have a tough time in judging cases which come in the purview of personal law. So that is why it becomes important. Whenever you need to weed out some I would say, laws which keep women away from, various other their rights, then it is something that needs to be done. If it's not being done by the society itself, it has to be done by the government. However, our question is of the timing. Our question is of a draft which is still not out there in the public domain. Law Commission has just about opened a conversation on this and has asked for feedback. Yet we are seeing BJP using it in its political rallies. And I must say just one point to Mr. Rao's opening statement, which said it has been part of a political manifesto where we believe in gender justice. Do you know Bilkis Bano would be crying listening to this right now? After what you'll have done to her, after her having won the hard-fought victory, you'll have released those people who, were punished for the heinous act done on her. Even the women wrestlers would be laughing at you right now, that they are asking for justice and no justice has been done to them. So please keep quiet on that gender justice bit. You all have been at the forefront of ensuring that women are shown their place in the patriarchal society that we continue to live in. So this sudden love for women and gender equality, etc., doesn't suit the BJP. So the timing, the intention is for all to see. If this was part of your political manifesto, you should have created a conducive environment from the first day of Prime Minister taking chair in 2014. Considering it's coming at the fag end 2023, clearly shows it's political in nature. It is being done or spoken about with the intent of the.
Respond to what Priyanka is saying, GVL. You could have done this in the first year of being in power. You've kind of let it be till the fourth year, allowed it to simmer in a subterranean fashion. Now you're bringing it out. Is this your big bazooka to try and, bring the opposition down ahead of the next election? Because it does put, see, Priyanka Chaturvedi having to take a position largely in support of the Uniform Civil Code, Aam Aadmi Party largely in support of the Uniform Civil Code. So before next month's all opposition party meeting or most opposition party meeting in Bengaluru, are you trying to divide them using the UCC as your Brahmastra?
No, Rahul, I think there is a legislative calendar to the government and it follows. We have a 5-year tenure to implement our legislative agenda. What to bring in first year, second year is entirely discretion of the government. And also there were some court cases pending in the Supreme Court. And you have heard court views only a little recently. So certainly this is very timely and we have this government, we have elected a president of India, a woman, a lady from the Adivasi communities. We have all the credentials. We ensured that triple talaq is no longer allowed in this country. We certainly have demonstrated our gender justice. And today Shiv Sena has changed its stripes. Today you have seen Hindutva banding Shiv Sena has acquired Islamization.
Reena Gupta from the Aam Aadmi Party, the Congress attacking the AAP for siding with the government on the Uniform Civil Code, saying that you haven't seen the draft, you don't know what the law is. How is it that you've come out and support the government? The Congress is calling you the B team of the BJP.
Rahul, we have come in support of the Constitution. The Directive Principles, Article 44, clearly mention that the government shall endeavour to have a uniform civil code. Having said that, there is no draft out in the public domain. There is no timeline. We don't know what will happen to the rights of the Sikh communities or the Parsis or the Buddhists, all the customary tribal laws. We don't know what will happen in areas where we have Article 371. So it is very clearly Bharatiya Janata Party's another polarization tactics in the last year of their term, hoping that the country would be divided. Otherwise, you had enough time. You should have consulted all the religious leaders. You should have sat down with each of them. You should have explained the nuances. For example, what will happen to the HUF, the Hindu Undivided, the HUF fund, which a lot of Hindus used for their income tax? What will the Bharatiya Janata Party leaders are exclaiming everywhere that UCC worked so well in Goa? Do they know that in Goa, Hindu men are allowed to remarry if their wives don't produce a son? Is that the UCC you want in the whole
country? All of that will be done away with as well. And surely you should appreciate that. You should say that's a good thing, that there should be gender equality. Reena Gupta, why are you opposing that?
No, there should be gender equality. Rahul, I totally agree. And that is the reason why we are saying that in principle we support UCC, but we do not support the way Bharatiya Janata Party is going about.
But Priyanka Chaturvedi, do you realize the political inevitability of the government pushing the UCC through, and the fact that like on Article 370, like on Ram Temple, the vast swath of this country actually supports that there should be a single law. There will be pockets of resistance among certain communities, but the large mass of India would want that there be one nation and one law.
Rahul, we have seen...
One second, Priyanka Chaturvedi, please.
Absolutely. Even Baba Sahib Ambedkar ji also... Even Baba Sahib Ambedkar ji espoused for that. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru ji espoused for that. But at that point in time, the environment wasn't conducive. That's why it came as part of the directive principles.
But when will the environment ever be conducive?
Code, and then
what do you define as a conducive environment?
So, 1 second, just allow me another 30 seconds. I'll just give you another example. He mentioned, the Bharatiya Janata Party spokesperson mentioned that we have a first tribal president. Do you know in 2016, Rashtriya Adivasi Ekta Manch had approached the Supreme Court saying that they should not interfere in their personal laws, which include polygamy and polyandry. So there are various people, a cross-section of people that need to be consulted. It cannot be done from a political rally, the Prime Minister coming and saying something. So the intent, if there was an intent, it should have started to create a conducive environment, which they haven't. So now that we are close to an election, their agenda is of dividing, hating, and creating a political narrative of us versus them. That is why it suits them right now. And that is all I say. If you were so clear about this, you all should have created a conducive environment. You should have allowed the Law Commission to take feedback. You haven't allowed any
Sarvanan
of it.
from the DMK, what is the DMK's objection? Why are you upset with the idea that there should be one nation, one law?
See, the BJP is obsessed with this toxic idea of oneness. Oneness doesn't suit our country. We are a diverse culture. We take pride in the fact that we are a diverse nation, and we ensure that there is unity among this diversity. This oneness, this homogenization will be a threat to our integrity.
No, that's a rhetorical point. On the question of law, what's your objection? What's the problem with having one uniform civil code?
Yeah, I'm coming to it. See, when there are so many people with so many cultures and so many practices, what is the fun in trying to say that, oh, we should have only one set of rules for all of them? This is their personal laws. That is what Mr.
Do they support polygamy?
Just a moment. Let me complete that. Mr. GVL Nakshipura was saying, oh, in America, you are not accepting to your Shariat law. You are following their law. In America, defamation is not a criminal offense. In India, defamation is a criminal offense. We have seen an MP losing his seat, Mr. Rahul Gandhi losing his seat. So please don't compare. What is good for America is not good for our country. That apart, Mr. Modi, the BJP and the RSS should bring a uniform treatment code of all the Hindus first. Hindus are not treated properly in the country. You are speaking that we have the first...
No, Rahul, I want to ask you.
Okay, GVL has a question for you. Go ahead, GVL, fire away. GVL.
Ashwini Vaishnav and Dharmendra Pradhan was inside the temple.
No.
Why this discrimination?
GVL.
In the modern society, Rahul, I would like to... No, I think what Sarvanan... No, Ms. Sarvanan has a point, but I want to ask him. In Tamil Nadu, there may have been a tradition of polygamy, but would women of Tamil Nadu, if you ask them, would they support that such a polygamy should be allowed among Hindus? Or would Muslim women support polygamy as a practice because the Muslim personal law allows it today? What is DMK's view on polygamy? Please answer this.
Is the BJP and the RSS saying the only way
is it not anti-women?
Uniform civil code? Is this BJP stand? Is this the only reason why you want to bring uniform civil code?
No. This is one way, certainly. Yes, that is one part of it, certainly.
Yeah, why the Prime Minister is not visiting Manipur?
Certainly, that is one. That is. No, I'm asking. Please answer about Tamil Nadu. Is DMK in favor of polygamy?
To be spent on election rallies rather than finding out what's happening in Manipur.
Mr. Sarvanan, you are not answering the question.
Let me put this question.
This is a question that you should be answering very easily.
I want to ask Waris Pathan, sir, the kind of apprehensions that were raised when the law against triple talaq was brought in. You go out and speak to women in Uttar Pradesh, speak to women in Bihar, speak to women elsewhere. They appreciate the fact that triple talaq is gone. That's not about politics, it's not about Hindu or Muslim, it's about Gender justice is about ensuring that all genders are equal before law. That's something that, women, you may not appreciate it, but many women in your community actually do.
Well, if Modi and BJP were so much serious about the gender justice and equality and the implementation of the UCC, what prevented them from getting in the last 9 years? Why were they waiting for? That is why I said that present UCC drama is the after effects of US visit of the Prime Minister when he was asked questions about by Sabrina, and when Barack Obama gave an interview to the news channel stating that in India ethnic minorities are facing trouble, the Muslim minorities are in trouble. If these things are not taken care of, India will collapse. That is the after effect. And now so they have come up with the
what's
UCC.
the link? What's the link?
Why? And you are talking about gender equality and triple talaq.
What is the link? Very funny.
Triple talaq time Modi said Muslim women are my sisters. What happens to Bilkis Banu? Why does he not talk about her? Why no justice to her? Why not the Zakia Jafri? Why our Muslim daughters want to go to school and study wearing
But you please tell us whether you would want triple talaq back.
Women, very good. But there are 20 lakh plus our Hindu sisters. GVL, listen, there are 20 lakh plus our Hindu sisters who are abandoned and deserted, who are living in Vrindavan. Why Modi or BJP is not interested in taking care of them? Why only for the Muslims? That is why I say the implementation of the UCC is only with the malified intention. The target is to harass the Muslims at large and to see to it that rights are taken up by the
No, but this is not just about Muslims. Remember, there's opposition from the Sikhs as well, there's opposition from the Christians, there's opposition from Parsi community.
They are misinterpreting Article 44. Article 44 says shall endeavor. Koshish karo. Not that
तो कोशिश ही तो कर रही है सरकार.
Every day since last 2 days I am listening
हाँ कर रहे हो. कितने how many centuries?
The nation by misinterpreting the Article 44 of the Constitution. Kindly read Article 44 along with 39 also, GVL. Then you will come to know what is the basic structure, fundamental.
No, but Priyanka Chaturvedi, the fact is there will never be a good time. This directive principle at some point in time, like with the Ram Temple, like with Article 370, someone needs to bite the bullet and get it done. Everybody says, yes, this is a good idea. Now you're linking it to the elections, you're linking, and of course politics is an inevitable part of what's at play. But there never is a good time between having gender equality across laws, equality around succession, around marriage, around divorce, around pregnancies being terminated. Having equal laws is better than not having equal laws, and there'll never be a good time, Priyanka.
I tell you, I absolutely stand in agreement as far as the principles of bringing in a uniform civil code is concerned, and that was my opening comment. However, the timing I question simply because something that could have been achieved in 2019, at the beginning of 2019, when you came with such a massive mandate, or you could have created, like I continue to say, you should have started the conversation on it. You should have brought in the various stakeholders. So today, if the Sikh community is protesting, they should have been brought on board. They should have been explained. You should be explaining the Christian communities. You should be explaining to the tribal communities what you're planning to do. You don't go up on a stage on a political rally and start making, comments about us versus them. And again, this is not being involving of all stakeholders. You're making this about Hindus versus Muslims. And that is where the principles of UCC are being absolutely, I would say, put to death on the altar of their politics. And that is the only point I'd like to make. And just one point with regards to what Waris Pathan said about Hindu women being abandoned. Hindu women being abandoned, they have the legal recourse to fight it out in the courts. And that is the beauty of reforms. Unfortunately, we don't have this in various other communities which should have reform from within. All India Muslim Personal Law Board should have looked at bringing in more reforms to make it gender.
No, but they haven't, which is why Uniform Civil Code is the way to do it.
We will have to create
but
something
they haven't,
madam. Gender justice.
But they haven't, which is why Uniform Civil Code is the one way of getting it done.
They haven't. They haven't. That is exactly what I'm saying. The need for this and the discussion for this is happening because a lot of reforms that should have come from the society.
But Reena Gupta, the fact also is that in Delhi it is politically expedient to support the UCC, which is what you've done. In Punjab, your party is facing flack from the likes of Shiromani Akali Dal for the manner in which Sikhs currently marry under the Anand Act, because there are various aspects of Sikh personal law which the Sikhs would like to continue with. And while in Delhi, it's the right thing to say that there should be a UCC, in many parts of Punjab, many in the Sikh community who voted for you in the last assembly election will not like this. So AAP also is caught in that bind.
Rahul, we are very clear. We are saying we support the idea of UCC However, we know that Bharatiya Janata Party in the past also with several of its acts and laws, like whether it's demonetization, GST, farm laws, has done all of them very hastily. Even now, the Law Commission has given only 30 days for comments, for getting comments from 140 crore people in this country. So this needs to be done properly. This cannot be an election jumlebaji. There needs to be a proper consultation with all the religious leaders, whether it's the Sikh community or it's a tribal community or it's the Parsis or the Jains. Everybody needs to be brought on board, and that is what we are saying. That you cannot do an election jumlebaji and say that we are bringing UCC. Nobody even knows what this UCC will look like, what is the draft, what is the timeline, how long it will take. So we need to bring everybody together.
Okay.
So we have said that we are in principle in support because the constitution says
no,
that.
so when you're saying in
However,
principle
we
you're in
don't
support,
trust
you
the
say that you're not in support of the Anand Act. You're not in support of the Sikhs being allowed to marry the way they currently do. That's what you're saying.
No, what I'm saying is that the Sikh leaders need to be consulted with. There need to be nuances in the UCC. There needs to be a draft out there.
Okay.
But this is typical Bharatiya Janata Party tactics that you just try to polarize the whole country, and we are sitting on TV channels discussing UCC, whereas none of us know what the draft will look like.
That's an important fact, because there is the idea of the UCC and then there is the practical reality. We don't know what the practical reality looks like because the draft law isn't out in the public domain. There is a consultation, which is what we kind of did over the last 30 minutes, a public discussion around the idea of the Uniform Civil Code. It will of course help if there is a draft which is put out, which lays out the specific contours. Make no mistake, this is also political. As we build up to the election, this is one of the core ideological planks. We've already seen with triple talaq, we've seen with Article 370, we've seen with the issue of the Ram Temple. They were pushed through because the BJP believed they were the right thing to do. They believed that they were in power, and they believed that this was the time, because there never will be a good time. We'll track all dimensions of the story very closely. I want to thank our guests. We're slipping into a break. When we come back, wreckage of Ocean Gate's Titanic tourist submersible retrieved near Canada. Possible human remains of 5 civilians who died also recovered. Details coming up on the other side of a quick break. Stay with us.
Best colleges of the country. Which one will boost your aspirations? From courses to placements, know them all. India Today Best Colleges Survey 2023. Issue out this Friday, 23rd June. Subscribe now to indiatoday.in/subscribe.
Snail mucin, mugwort, rice, Centella asiatica are all Cape Beauty favorites. Whether it works or not is always up for debate, but the world has really enjoyed relaxing in a Korean sheet mask to unwind, and they surely hydrate well for a Korean kind of a glass skin glow. The latest entrant, salmon sperm. Cape Beauty has made it a super hot commodity. In the music video for Vegas, Doja Cat is seen smearing a face with a cosmetic stick. If reports are to be believed, this product was made from salmon collagen and salmon PDRN to enhance skin elasticity.
It's really a polynucleotide, and what it does is it has an anti-inflammatory role, so it helps reduce inflammation in the skin. This is all because of the wound healing response, and so this is why it's become such a popular ingredient right now.
Cape Beauty, no doubt, is a cult favorite. Further enhanced by K-pop culture that is a big deal amongst Gen Z. BTS and Blackpink are all over the place, and if you notice, they emulate a certain aesthetic standard which just cannot be accidental. While the Koreans have skin that's definitely different from Indians, some basics of skincare remain standard across the board. Cleanse, tone, moisturize, and do not forget the sunblock. How simple is that?
Korean people, there are about
5 to 6 skincare routine that we follow, which start from skin, lotion, essence, cream, eye cream. So basically, little effort is required to have a flawless skin. Yeah.
To say that Koreans are too serious about their skincare would be a huge understatement. But through all their 10-step routine lies a simple philosophy: moisturize and hydrate well. In New Delhi, with Vaishnavi Kaharwar, Lifestyle Bureau, India Today.
OceanGate's shattered submersible that imploded during an underwater voyage to view the Titanic has returned to shore. And with it, the possible human remains of the 5 people on board may have also been recovered. The presumed human remains will be brought to the US, where medical professionals will conduct a formal analysis.
Possible human remains from the Titan submersible were recovered on Wednesday, brought to shore alongside what's thought to be debris of the shattered vehicle. Video shows what appeared to be the nose of the submersible and other fragments wrapped in white tarp, winched from a ship and unloaded at St. John's Port in Canada's Newfoundland. The fragments may shed more light on what caused the catastrophic implosion of the sub, which was descending to the century-old wreck of the Titanic earlier this month. Among the dead on board was Stockton Rush, CEO of OceanGate Expeditions, which operated the sub. Also killed were British billionaire Hamish Harding, Pakistani-born businessman Shahzada Dawood and his son, and French oceanographer Paul-Henri Nargeolet. The US Coast Guard said in a statement medical professionals will conduct a formal analysis on the presumed human remains. Experts had raised safety concerns about the Titan sub and questioned OceanGate's decision not to pursue recognized certification processes for the sub's design, fabrication and testing. The accident has also raised questions about the unregulated nature of such expeditions. The debris field of the doomed vessel was found last Thursday near the wreckage of the Titanic, 13,000 feet deep in the North Atlantic Ocean.
This is where we wrap up the news track tonight. For your time and your trust, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you at 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. Till then, from all of us here, goodbye, good night.
Posted. Oh, we're rolling? Wait a minute. Story posted, WhatsApp sent. So much to do, but I think it's a good idea to occasionally disconnect from your smartphone or at the very least from social media. However, the majority of us still need our phones with us so we can make calls and send messages. Of course, you can leave your phone at home when you go out, and in my case, hopefully my cellular smartwatch as well. But the issue arises sometimes when you end up wasting an excessive amount of time scrolling and swiping away on mindless games and apps. Studies have actually shown that if you get addicted to your smartphone, it could possibly affect your relationships, mental health, and productivity. So sometimes it might be wise to take a step back and disconnect or detox from an increasingly connected world. Ironically, technology comes to the rescue here in the form of apps that can aid the process. So we've compiled a special Tech Today list of these apps which can really help you digitally detox and break this addiction for you in a matter of a few clicks. An excellent all-around digital detox app is App Detox. Literally, you can choose which apps you want to limit using this very app. Then you can make specific guidelines. You can decide, for instance, how many times you can open a given app and what time of the day you want access to it. You can view your app usage and completely block particular apps. Cleverest. The goal of Cleverest is to assist you in segmenting tasks. It is simple and straightforward as a user experience. Set a time limit and maintain your focus for that length of time. If you do, your avatar will prosper and expand. The Pomodoro technique, which suggests dividing things into manageable portions to help you stay motivated and focused, is the foundation of this very app. Forest. This app for digital detox won't disable your social media accounts, but rather creates a game-like situation to keep you focused. Open this app, plant a seed, and focus on the task at hand without being distracted by your phone. The timer will then start, and your seed will develop into a tree. Your tree will perish and you'll have to start over if you answer your phone before the timer expires. Procrastinators will appreciate this. Additionally, the program encourages you to spend the virtual coins you earn each time you develop a tree. And Forest will actually plant a tree as a result. You'll not only maintain your concentration better, but you'll also be planting new trees in the actual world. You can view your forest, which is exactly what it sounds like, and measure your progress over time. Just like with other top digital detox apps on this list, a virtual forest will contain a representation of each tree you've grown. Continue producing and expanding your forest.
If you travel towards these Western countries, European countries, it's crazy how people they are involved in yoga. Every third street will have a beautiful yoga center. It's not only that you're just running outside and you got some place and practicing yoga. There are dedicated academies, institutes, studios to practice yoga. So what our experience is, let it be the streets of Manhattan or in Japan. People, they practice there. They spend a year or 2 years and then they are back to Himalayas. You will see them in Himachal Pradesh, in Rishikesh or in Nepal, these kind of mountain ranges. They come and they spend their time. They try to go more deep in yogic practices.
In my early educational days, I was a little boy and I was very lost. I didn't know where to turn, I didn't know what to do, I didn't know who to believe. So I always wondered why I was here. I knew I was here for a specific reason. We implement the practice of yoga. So naturally, it changes your inner mechanism. I gave up my business in the UK and I sold my house in the UK to come to India to learn the ancient teachings of yoga and pranayams, breathing techniques, mudras and meditation techniques. And it's helped me so much because obviously moving from England to India is such a big jump and it's enabled me to have a stronger mindset. Now that I realise that this is what I need to do in this lifetime, it's very passionate for me to bring these teachings back to the West, back to England and help humanity.
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 38 and minimum 26 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 29 and minimum 26 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 35 and minimum 26 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 27 and minimum 22 degrees. Chennai, maximum 36 and minimum 29 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 32 and minimum 24 degrees.
Co-presented by Star Health Insurance, the health insurance specialist.
Co-presented by JK Tyre Ranger Series, stay wild at heart. Co-presented by Hayfler, let's reimagine. Powered by NECC, Sunday hoya Monday, Rose Kha One Day. Co-powered by Watcho OTT, Super App.
One hai to done hai.
Good evening, hello and welcome to the news today. This is your primetime destination news. Newsmakers talking points. The big talking point tonight, there's a constitutional crisis that could be brewing in Tamil Nadu. We'll tell you more on that. Also, Rahul Gandhi is in Manipur. Is this a photo op?